Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Game 2 of this series between Light and Pulse. This is the six-pool gaming Pro League. This is, of course, a best-of-9 between these two teams. Starting in the bottom right-hand corner of Ohana, it is the Yellow Zerg. It is Jay Echo. For
And his
Pulse.
and his opponent representing Team Light in the top left is the Red Protoss, Sunlight. Now, just to take a moment here before the game gets too far underway, guys, we do want to give a thanks to both of our sponsors, the now, I guess, deceased Zeke TV and the ever live and active Six Pool Gaming. They've donated a total of $1,000 for the prize pool of this event, guys, and this is an event that's been taken over the course of longer than a month now. Lots of good games to be played, lots of good games to be seen, and I just want to point out one more time as well, Team Pulse is Team Tesseract. That is who they were at the start of the tournament. But for the most part, again, big shout out to Six Pool Gaming. Go check out their website, guys, sixpoolgaming.com. And Jay echoed very nice victory last game. I mean, it's really surprising. You send out a player like Kawhi Rice game one, you don't expect him to get knocked out game one. That's just what it comes down to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you'd think after a loss like that he might just want to commit Sudoku.
Oh, Tony, you think you're so funny with your reverse words that sound similar.
I do.
Now,
They're both
Echo,
Japanese, too.
I just want to comment on this. I do like that Echo is going pool first. It's very annoying because Protoss, they put down those pylons. We've even seen some people go as far and desperate as putting a gateway down just to not deny that natural. Because forcing someone to take a third on a map like Ohana, I mean, the rocks are there. It's so much easier to harass, much less actually kill. So we'll see what J Echo does, but I mean, having that pull down will of course deny any sort of harass from this probe, but it looks like he's just doing mineral harass right now as Echo comes out towards the natural. Unopposed, just puts that natural down.
Well said, Riffles. Pool first is actually very, very standard now, I believe, in Zerg versus Protoss, just because of exactly what you mentioned. Zerg are like, you know what? Dude, I'm sick of this. Unless it's a huge map, pool first.
Yeah, the cool thing here is, I mean, it doesn't seem to matter what race they're playing against. You'll see the Sim City come out of most Protoss players. Forge, Nexus, Cannon, Gateway, or some variation of that, but still that generic build order. And we recently saw Bly in the Zotac Cup annihilate that build by rushing spine crawlers. Now I don't know if you've seen this, Garyoak, but
No,
like
that sounds like the Nest T build.
you basically rush a layer and use the Overlord you pushed out with to drop creep.
Yeah, that's the Nest
Same
T
build?
build that he did like a
Yeah.
year and a half ago. Yeah.
It's an old build that hasn't been used in a while, but we saw Bly crush Protoss. I mean, the cannon just doesn't have the range. You poke, take out the gateway, nothing they can do about it.
Yep, you just sneak the Overlords up there, and I think in Nest T's original iteration of the build, he used Hydralisks to support it because there's creep there already, so you can actually micro the Hydralisks on the creep with the the spine crawlers and have fun dealing with that.
And if you're on layer tag, why the hell not, right?
Exactly. Hydras are pretty darn powerful if you can keep them alive, and if you got a creep spread and you got spines to back them up. There you go, that's all the meat shields you need for the Hydras.
And it looks like in the meantime, Jacko has taken a third behind all of this, so despite whatever cool hopes we have, and we're discussing, it's not relevant to this game in particular, I guess.
Darn you for making me go off on a tangent about a cool old school build order.
Now, there's definitely cool builds out there, but it's just there's such a standard meta now that almost all players stick to, and the deviations from that meta don't really come until I want to say mid to late game.
Especially in Protoss versus Zerg, the matchup, you can, it's very easy to commentate the early game of this matchup. You can talk about like what you're having for dinner, and like no one will really lose anything most of the time.
One thing I do like that Sunlight has done is he has placed a cybernetics core at the back of his base instead of putting in that frontal wall. I mean, you can lose that cybernetics core and that forge to roaches so easily, and if you do, you're going to fall very quickly behind it. So I do like his smart choice, keeping that in base and far away from the vulnerable situations that the frontal wall does provide.
That's an excellent observation. The only thing we got to point out here is this pylon here where the Zealot is. It's very vulnerable to a Baneling bust. I'm sure that Echo will be very pleased to see this, as it gives him an option later on.
Right now he does have a lot of Zerglings poking across the map, but of course it is very difficult to do anything this early with that cannon there. Oh, and this Zealot finding a nice little choke behind the watchtower, really minimize the amount of damage he's going to take. He's going to do a lot of damage before going down.
Oh, look at this micro! He actually saved two of his Zerglings. They're both deep red.
Now, the Zealot did take out a couple as well, checking, 3 Zerglings lost, so, I mean, it's really minimal still for the cost of a Zealot, but nice positioning by Sunlight. And we do have the Robo Facility on the way, along with a Roach Horn and an Evolution Chamber.
So do you think this is just going to be a standard 3-base max to roaches, do as much damage as you can, then transition into whatever is best?
Truthfully, I don't know. It's so hard to call. I mean, players, like I said, this is right about that time where the deviations start coming. I do like roaches against Protoss, though, especially if you can hit that timing before there's too many Immortals on the field. There's really just nothing to oppose you.
This Overlord didn't spot the Second Forge or the Twilight Council.
As it does get taken up by those sentries. And we do have double observers coming out of the Robo Facility first, so no Immortals as we come up on 8 minutes here, Garyo. Just to time sync, sir.
Yep, about the same.
Better
so
than
double
last
observer.
game, then.
That's interesting. We see +2/+1 coming out for Sunlight, and we only see +1 missiles coming out for those roaches. The layer's nearly done, though, so we'll see what Echo's really planning here.
Yeah, keeping an eye on his base. I mean, things are fairly saturated at all 3 bases. He's got some very nice income right now. Checking the income tab. Way ahead of Sunlight right now. Macro Hatchery even coming down to the main. And there we go. We do have Roach Speed starting. So with 4 roaches only now on the way, we'll probably see more here in the near future.
Gotta point out that these destructible rocks on the bottom at the 6 o'clock position have not been taken out. So that could make this 3rd base very, very vulnerable to a 3-base push by the Protoss player.
Especially with no creep spread. I mean, there is one creep tumor that is coming out across the map, but not connecting these bases.
Yeah, the creep spread is very benign at the moment, if you want to get into scientific terms.
The malignant creep tumors.
As Zerg, you want very, very malignant creep spread.
Well, we do see Sunlight actually taking down his rocks, which again is a very smart choice. These rocks can really make and break your base defenses. You don't want to just kind of leave them unattended.
Exactly. And, oh, is that observer speed?
Both players taking down these rocks, and observer speed is not something I've seen in forever. So I highly doubt it.
No, it's not possible. For a minute, I just thought I saw it moving faster than normal. I don't know why. I guess I'm seeing things. He doesn't even have a support bay. That's why I was so taken aback by it. It's like, what?
Well, we do have Zealot charged nearing completion and +1 weapon, +2 weapons, as Sunlight does move out across the field with a very sizable force and a lot of sentries.
This is a very nice timing. I really wish he had a warp prism with this.
Oh, look at this. Armies running side by side right now.
Yeah, but Sunlight does know about it, as he did have a Zealot holding that watchtower.
And Jaco's got to be careful. He's going to get caught around here. Guardian Shield, a lot of force fields going down, Garyoak.
Oh, that's a very nice surround, though. A lot of roaches got in before those force fields went up. Is it enough, though? That Immortal looks like it's definitely fine against these roaches.
And there's another Immortal in the back. But, however, this first Immortal finally going to get surrounded by those Zerglings. Not enough force fields. And with 10 kills, it does fall. The last Immortal falling back. Zealots being warped in. That charge being so effective right now. If he can keep this Immortal alive, but no, it does fall.
This has been a really good trade for Echo right now. If he knows what's good for him, he's going to back off now.
Yeah, catching those Immortals was a big deal. I mean, you can warp in Zealots, Stalkers, and Sentries all day, but Immortals are the ones that take time to build.
Yep, oh, that's a huge swell of Zerglings coming in, but he's being met by a lot of +2 charge Zealots.
Yeah, very deadly, very dangerous. We see them charging out across against that Roach. But Sunlight is going to hold for now.
Yeah, those Zerglings disappeared faster than a salt lick next to a horse, man. They're just gone.
Is that going to be your shtick? Really bad references.
Come on, they're good references.
Well, finally we have see Echo. He's got his 4th base up, and this is where you want to be as Zerg. I mean, you put pressure on, you've kind of kept Sunlight at home, now you got to take those extra bases behind this.
Yeah, you don't want to be 3-base versus 3-base like against a Protoss as a Zerg. Just no, that's always a bad idea.
And right now, Sunlight really doesn't have a lot of units on the field to tank for these Immortals. I mean, he does have 2 out on the field again, some Sentry energy, but that's a lot of roaches.
I don't really like this army supply. Oh, look at those force fields, trapping those roaches between those buildings.
Tries to get it through. However, some Zerglings are going to make it to the main mineral line, immediately warping in some Zealots to deal with that as he chases down everything outside the base. And all of a sudden, Sunlight's Zealot army is a very formidable force.
Yeah, these charged Zealots are really, really effective against roaches. Not too many people realize Zealots actually beat roaches one-on-one as long as the roaches aren't microed, and charge really takes away from that. Because not just because it closes the distance, they get an inherent speed boost from it too, just when they're walking around.
Speaking of which, he is starting to move across the map, going to take out some of these creep tumors. He does have those forward observers. However, J Echo does have a lot of roaches to meet him with.
Yeah, but now the sentries are here.
Does catch only a couple with the force fields. However, this does zone J Echo back for now. That pylon will be taken out, so will the probe, so no frontal warp ins. And Sunlight does fall back. Does have a warp prism on the way though, and I like this choice.
Yeah, warp prism is really, really important for making a push like this. He is going up to Templar Archives now.
And double checking on time, I'm coming up on 4:43 as I speak.
Me too.
Cool beans, so no time sync issues this game. WTF.
Perfect. And a hive is halfway done, and we do see a Spire just now started, so it looks like Echo is wanting to go for greater Spire tech.
This is so many Zealots for a Protoss army. I mean, normally you don't see this composition. You see a lot more Stalkers, more,
Yeah.
well, I guess he does have a lot of Sentries, so I won't comment on that. But 3 Immortals will have no problem taking out the Roaches as long as he can get rid of those Zerglings very quickly. And between Force Fields and this many Zealots, I don't think he'll have any trouble doing that whatsoever. 31 on the field. This is not something you often see.
Yeah, I mean, thing is, here's the thing though. If Echo can bite the pillow and hold on and just enough, he's going to have a ton of Broodlords out, and Zealots are not very effective against Broodlords. The key is surviving until he gets those Broodlords out in good enough number.
True enough with those Roaches. Oh no, the Force Field actually locking Sunlight out of his own base. As all the Roaches push forward, and Immortal spawning will go down though so quickly. And Echo trying to lift some Immortals up to the high ground, but those Force Fields keep...
Robo too.
Oh, with the fall of the Robo, Sunlight going to be in a lot of trouble. However, he does still have a lot of warp-ins he can do. Dropping those Immortals behind the cannon.
That's a silver lining to this.
But the Roaches might change that soon, as they are focus firing this down. However, the Zealots plus the Immortals should clean this up, if not only barely in time.
Oh, there's some force fields for good measure. Nexus barely lives, wow, 200 hit points. And he's restarting 2 Robos, and he's getting Psionic Storm. The problem is, Greater Spire is partway done. Oh, we're seeing Burrow and Tunneling Claws too. And there's no Stargate, I believe.
High Templar pushing out across the field, but look, these Roaches sneak up into the third right now. Only cannons to defend it.
Only 1 cannon, that falls instantly.
Oh,
2 Immortals, though, the natural.
But these things can go down very quickly, as yes, we see the Roaches start to focus fire.
That forces them to block some of them out.
The 2 Robos also providing a very nice sort of choke, but these 5 Roaches still trying to get in here. And it really feels like J Echo is struggling to keep up with Sunlight's army.
Oh, they're actually going for the Nexus again.
Trying to focus that down, not quite enough, cannot quite finish that.
And meanwhile, we've got the entire army of Sunlight just marching across the field, taking the opposing Xel'Naga Watchtower. There are a few Infestors to meet him on the other side of the map, though. They will be spotted by this observer.
But, I mean, this whole time, this has just been Echo buying himself time. I mean, despite Tunneling Claws, whatever, to get through those force fields, the Greater Spire finally completes, and we might see some Broodlords here shortly.
Oh, beautiful feedbacks! Not like one fungal went off.
And these Roaches are running back. Archons are morphing in, though, for Sunlight. And J Echo, again, just gotta buy himself some time. He's just gonna hold this for a little longer. He does have the Greater Spire up, but no Broodlords on the way just yet.
Tunneling Claws are done, but will he be able to survive long enough? He's just building Roaches and nothing else.
Oh, but look at this, such a scary force for Sunlight. I mean, these Zealots are just vicious. Archon's coming from behind even. And with that Warp Prism securing some more Warpins, I think J Echo's going to be in a lot of trouble.
There's the GG.